Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today I want to try and answer some questions that were submitted to me over on my Instagram. And if you aren't following me on Instagram, I will put the address right down here and it's linked down below as well. But I was just at a photography conference down in Florida last week, and just being there for a couple days, I had a great time interacting with a lot of people there, and a lot of questions were thrown my way, and so then I just kind of decided that, well, hell, yeah, why not give other people the opportunity to maybe ask me questions if you're interested. So I put it up on Instagram, got a stack of questions here that I kind of rifled through. I'm going to select some to try and answer here on this video. There were several that are kind of similar, so I'm going to try to group those as well. Keep this as short as possible if I can, and hopefully y'all maybe pick up a nugget or two from this video. But let's just kind of get into it. The first question here is, I want to get into sports photography, and what are some good tips on starting out? Now, I feel like I've probably covered that a couple times here on the channel. Recently, I had a little interview with Brad Deal, and I'll link these up here. And then also I had a video that Justin and I did. He's the head of creative media over at the university where I do a lot of work with those guys, so I will link that video as well. Both of those have some great pointers and tips within those videos. When it comes to sports photography, you've got, I would say, roughly two different lanes there. You've got in-game type work, and then you've got more of your studio strobe type of setups. And so, maybe you want to do both. If you've got one or the other, you kind of need to figure out what your lane is, and then try to figure out how to pursue that based off of that. I would say probably the in-game might be a little bit easier, because you can always go to probably a high school game, whether it's outdoors or indoors, and I think you can probably take your camera and shoot from the stands and maybe kind of figure out the camera or camera settings based off the environment doing that. At the end of the day, you're going to need pretty much a portfolio to show people, to hopefully impress upon them that you know what you're doing. And it might be a thing too with the end game where you can maybe make some connections with families that have maybe someone on the team that you can maybe link up with, and maybe they know someone at the school that can get you some access on the sideline. It's just about being smart about that and networking yourself into that type of situation. I would say with if you're wanting to do more of the strobe-based stuff, it might be something maybe similar to that, just to kind of get your foot in the door. And then once you build up a body of work, you can probably need to show that to someone that is a decision maker. So at the base level, it's a matter of getting your work together, and we're going to talk about this again with some other questions on here too. Getting your work together in a way that can be presented in front of people to hopefully impress them, to have them bring you in to potentially do some work. But then you've got to also take the time to figure out who it is that you need to contact, and I talked about that recently in my video about why a lot of these clients are happy or content with bad work. So that's a recent video here too. But it's pretty much the same across the board. It's just, I feel like a lot of people they're motivated to ask the questions and stuff like that, but then it's a whole nother thing to get into it. It's a lot of work. And as I've mentioned before on here, it took me probably 2+ years to get in the door at the university here to do more of the strobe-based work because it's just something that they hadn't done before. So every situation is going to be different, so you got to kind of have to get yourself in the mix, feel it out. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to your work, how well you can network, and then and within that network, finding the right person to impress upon that you know what you're doing, and you can be a benefit to everyone there that might need some or might want some photography of the athletes, whether it's a family type thing or the school itself. All right, next, tell us about your life after your job is done. This is my Swedish buddy Daniel. He's been following me for years over on social media. Daniel, I don't share a whole lot, I guess, on here in that regard. I'm recently single, father of a teenage girl, and so when I'm not doing this type of work, I'm having to deal with all of the aspects of having a teenage daughter. and which is a lot. So it keeps me busy between this and that, I stay pretty busy. But thanks for asking, and we're going to move on to the next question. Can you talk about the licensing of your images in the context of big and small teams? So I'm not, big and small teams is kind of open-ended for, I guess, interpretation. I'm guessing maybe you're referring to like maybe high school to big teams, maybe in pro teams. I don't really do much in the high school levels. I do mainly college and then some pro teams. And that's changed a bunch over the years. Back, multiple years ago, I had very structured licensing with the images that I would take with these teams. I quickly learned, though, that that's kind of a double-edged sword, I guess, or maybe it's just something that a lot of these folks that are hiring you aren't familiar with, I guess, and so it's becomes more of a hurdle. And then at the end of the day, regardless of the team you're working, if you're working in college or even in the pros, these players are cycling out fairly recent, and then their uniforms are changing. So it's not a thing where I'm too concerned about the images being used past like 1 year, one season, because of those two main factors. And they're always wanting to kind of update their images and use the newest stuff each season. That's why most of these teams have their media days every year to collect new content for all the marketing and everything else they use. So I would say back in the day I was really particular about that because I was coming more from the advertising world where you have pretty strict licensing that is purchased along with your work for ad campaigns and how long those ads are going to run, and then if they want to relicense, then that's how you create more of an income for yourself as a photographer. And there's plenty of information out there, but it's come around to where if you're working for these teams, there's so many people out there that don't concern themselves with that, and then the folks in the creative departments that are hiring for those types of positions, being a freelancer, that's not something that they're really keen on, and sometimes you can lose the job when if you're really particular about that. And then knowing that these are images that are going to really have like a 12-month shelf life at most. So it's up to you whether you want to stick to your guns on that or not. I'm not going to preach it either way for those types of clients. All right, so next, what do you have to do to get hired in the commercial photography world? So this kind of goes somewhat in line with the sports photography type thing. At the end of the day, it's all photography. You're all having to impress upon someone enough to where they're going to hire you for, in this case, like a advertising campaign, that type of thing. And it's probably a little more, I guess, more difficult in the commercial world than potentially some of the sports stuff, because there are just so many tiers in the sports stuff. In the ad world, I feel like the ones that are out there hiring the photographers are more at the higher end these days, and so it makes it a little bit. You just have to be more buttoned up and prepared for meeting with a lot of people to hopefully land a gig and for one of these agencies or brands, and that it comes really down to your portfolio to start with. So you got to dial it in. You need to research what type of work that these brands are using, and then if you don't have that in your portfolio and it's someone you really want to work for, then you want to shoot for that. You want to shoot maybe some spec work, just put together something that would represent your style, but then at the same time would be relatable to what they're using. And then you just got to hope that you're kind of in the right place at the right time. But once you get that body of work together, then you need to have a really nice functional website. You're going to want to create some marketing materials. I pulled some stuff over here that you'll need to send to these people. This is like a little mini book. You can do postcards. You can also do emails. So you have to research the people that you need to contact. There's a lot involved with that, and it's really a matter of kind of getting the ball rolling and than being, like I said, in the right place at the right time. I think ultimately what you would want to do is get some face-to-face meeting times, and that's where you can kind of impress upon them, you know, who you are as a person, and not just a photographer and not just your work, because some of these campaigns are, you know, multi-day events, and these folks want to make sure that you're someone that they would want to hang out with and then collaborate with over a course of several days. And so that plays a really big part once, you know, they're convinced that you can produce with the camera. It's the personality part is probably, if not 50-50, it could be even more weight in that end of things. And then it's a matter of, you know, once you get in there, you know, do a good job, deliver, you know, when you say you're going to deliver, and then, you know, word of mouth is much more powerful than anything else that I'm talking about here. So that's how you kind of sustain that momentum. But those are some key things that I would recommend on that end. All right, the next question is, what is on your bucket list to photograph? And so this kind of plays back into what I was just talking about on the commercial end of things. I've always enjoyed doing the sports type stuff. That's all super exciting. And I've done some entertainment stuff, mainly like book covers and those types of things. But I've always kind of wanted to do like key art, maybe for a big TV show on, you know, a streaming platform, that type of thing. And I actually created, so this goes in line with how, as a photographer, where we need to build a body of work, and hopefully that'll connect with some agencies or networks in this case. And so I put together a whole photo shoot and portfolio to do just that, like probably 10 years ago or so. And I've shown this on the channel before, and I'll show some images that came from this shoot. But this is a whole marketing piece that I put together years ago. And although it didn't land me the key art jobs that I was kind of dreaming about with that portfolio, it landed me a lot of other work that it's very similar in scope. And so it, you know, it's just one of those things where I put together all this, didn't get, I guess, the brass ring I was after with that, but then I got a lot of work because of that. I mean, I just sent it out to the key target people that I wanted to work with, those networks and stuff like that. But then I also created enough of these where then I kind of handpicked some other agencies that really had some, I guess, clients, and were doing campaigns that I wanted to hopefully be involved in. And I did hit on several of those. So it's just one of those things. I'm, you know, hopefully one of these days, you know, if anyone's watching on here that works at one of the streaming platforms, you know, please call me up. I'd love to come and do some work for y'all. All right, next is, I'm considering your online class. How many lights do I need to begin learning your methods? And I'll just sponsor this video with my tutorial that I came out with a couple of months back. And I want to stress too, because it goes back to this question. I'm glad this question was asked, because a lot of people see me use a lot of lights on here, but all these setups really start with one light. And that's all you need to have to, if you want to pick up my tutorial. I go through a one light setup all the way to, or several one light setups, all the way up to a 7 light setup that I use a lot during, you know, my commercial shoots. But not only that, I talk about modifiers and, you know, which modifier I choose and why I choose that type of modifier. You know, where I'm going to place that modifier and why I'm going to place that, and then on top of that, and what power am I going to put on the strobe, based off of, you know, where that light is and what modifier I'm using to get a certain look. I use a light meter throughout that tutorial, so then we can get specific light ratios from, you know, the key light to the edge lights, and then you see where the placement is. And I really created that so that you would hopefully feel comfortable in building up from one light to as many as 7 lights. And along with that, I take measurements of the distance of the lights and give y'all diagrams that you can download, you know, straight within that tutorial. So the link for that is down below. You know, please check that out, and just know that you don't have to have more than one light to, you know, get into the process of figuring out how to, you know, start with one light and then add multiple lights for those types of setups to get certain looks that I show you exactly in that tutorial. All right, next is any chance of a Photoshop course on editing like your lighting course? I bought it and it's awesome. Well, thank you for saying that. And it's funny that you are asking that, because that is going to be next, and I'm putting together the curriculum now. If there's anything you're interested in seeing in that, please leave that down in the comments below. But I do want to put together something, a little something. Probably won't be as long as the lighting course, and it's not going to be, the price will probably be about half of what the lighting course is, and that's kind of what I'm shooting for. But I want to cover, I guess, my most commonly used retouching techniques for finishing up the images that you can capture using the lighting that I run through in that lighting tutorial. So it's going to kind of back end that and give you the full grasp of, from start to finish, from setting up the lights to retouching in post and delivering your images. All right, and then next, can you do more post-processing videos to go with the BTS? So kind of in line, I guess, with that there. I've done some of those in the past, and they just didn't perform all that well on the channel. I don't know if most people just want to see the actual photo shoots, or mainly when I do gear videos, that's what people tune in for a lot. But look in the catalog here on the channel, and you should see some in there. But I will make a note to add some more of those. I do feel like sometimes it lengthens the videos if I'm covering the whole process of the photo shoot, and then I add on the retouching at the end. I think it might be sometimes intimidating for people when you're scrolling YouTube. And I know myself, I do this when I'm looking and I have a certain amount of time to watch a video, and I see, if a video is like 10-12 minutes, or if it's 20-25 minutes. Sometimes I'm more apt to just click on the shorter video because of the time investment that it takes to watch the other ones. But that being said, hopefully it would be something that you would be entertained with throughout a video like that. But I will try to make an effort to add more of that. And then once again, to the question before that, I'm going to put together a tutorial to cover more of those aspects. So that resource I'll hopefully have that out here in the next couple weeks. All right, next. Hi, James. Do you have a set plan on posting or for posting to your socials, or you just wing it? I pretty much wing it. When I have stuff to put out, or I have time to assemble something, it's just me doing. I don't have someone that's hired to do my social media type work. So it's a little bit harder. I'm doing all this other, making videos like this here on YouTube, and I'll kind of promote this over on my social media. But when it comes to the other stuff, it's just kind of when I get a moment in the mix of everything else to put it together, and that probably shows where I don't have the biggest following on social media. And the guys that really have a schedule and then can crank out those posts, you can see that they reap the benefits along with their really good work, and it's something that I would I would like to aspire to, but I haven't quite figured out how to make that work yet. So currently I'm just winging it when it comes to posting on social media. All right, the last question here, and this is a big one, I guess. What is your life goal as a photographer? Oh boy. So I don't really know. There's so many aspects to photography, and I don't know, life goal. I think the main goal is to keep the lights on and provide for those that are dependent on me. I guess at the end of the day, I like to be creatively fulfilled. So I've found doing this, which I kind of stumbled on, and back in 2020, this has been a lot of fun to interact with y'all, and then going to like a conference like I was just at a week ago, and meeting some of y'all that watch this channel. It brings home the fact that people are watching this at the end of the day, because I'm just in here by myself talking to a camera when I'm putting this together, and it's kind of a disconnect, I guess, until I go somewhere and there are people that have seen my videos and they comment back to me about having watched the videos, and that is a lot of fun. So that's very rewarding. And there's some other aspects of photography that I'm hoping to kind of get more into in the future, which I started like in the landscape world, so I'm kind of getting the itch to kind of get back out there and work a little more with that type of work, and doing more kind of maybe fine art type stuff. I think if you're doing the same thing over and over, regardless of what it is, it becomes repetitive, and you maybe have that I guess it's applied that law of diminishing returns type of thing. So I don't know. We'll see where things lead, I guess, over the next couple years, but right now, I'm really thankful to be where I am, and looking back on all the opportunities that I've had, because I've been, as I've mentioned, even in the talk at that conference, that the camera has taken me so many cool places, and I look back on that, and I don't want that to end. So I want to just keep plugging away and doing what I'm doing here. So I'm hoping that, I hope that answers your question there. So anyway, if y'all feel like this was fun, kind of a fun exercise, let me know down in the comments, and I'll be happy to do this again in the future. Hopefully some of y'all watch this. And if you if you feel like it's worthy, give me that thumbs up as usual, and you want to see more content like this in the future, hit that subscribe button down there and the little bell so YouTube will let you know when I'm back on here. And like I showed earlier, my Instagram at quantzphoto, and then at Prolate Mods as well over there. And meantime, y'all stay safe and healthy out there, and I will see y'all again soon in the next one.